possibly old. It vibrated in my chest. Come out, now. The command was absolute. My hand, which had been hovering near the gear stick, now gripped it like a lifeline. My other hand fumbled for the ignition key, which I'd stupidly left in. What odds form at the dark pulsating tube that was its anchor to the shadows? The kid's head tilted again, that jerky, unnatural movement.
The expression on its face, if you could call it that, was one of pure, unadulterated annoyance, contempt. Like I was a particularly stupid insect it had failed to swat. And then it spoke in that same terrible, resonant, grinding voice. And then it spoke in that same terrible, resonant, grinding voice. The words it said are burned into my memory, colder than any winter night. Why it rasped, the sound seeming to scrape the inside of my skull. The fuck are humans smarter now? That was it, that one sentence. The sheer cosmic frustration in it. I didn't plan as. I reacted. Primal fear, the kind that bypasses all higher brain function, took over. My hand twisted the key. The diesel engine roared back to life, a sudden violent explosion of sound in the horrifying stillness. The kid the thing actually recoiled. A small jerky step back.
The expression, that awful, tightened, ancient look intensified. I slammed the gear stick into drive, my foot stomped on the accelerator. The truck lurched forward, tires spinning on the gravel for a terrifying second before they bit into the asphalt. I didn't look at it. I couldn't. I stared straight ahead, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. The whole cab vibrating around me. I stuck straight ahead, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. The whole cab vibrating around me. I imagined that tube thing whipping out, trying to snag the trailer, to pull me back, to drag me into those woods. I imagined that small figure with its ancient, terrible voice somehow keeping pace. I risked a glance in my driver's side mirror. It was standing there, on the shoulder, unmoving. The headlights of my departing truck cast its small silhouette into sharp relief.
And behind it, the dark tube was still visible, a thick, obscene cord snaking back into the endless night of the forest. It didn't seem to be retracting or moving, it just was. The thing didn't pursue, it just stood and watched me go. And that somehow was almost worse, the sheer confidence, the patience. Like it knew there would be others. Or maybe it was just annoyed that this particular attempt had failed. I drove. I don't know for how long. I just drove. My foot was welded to the floor. The engine screamed. I watched the speedometer needle climb, far past any legal or safe limit for a rig that size on a road that dark. I didn't care. The image of that thing, that child shape with its dark umbilical to the woods, and that voice, that awful grinding voice asking its horrifying question, was burned onto the inside of my eyelids.
I must have driven for an hour, maybe more, at speeds that should have gotten me killed or arrested before the adrenaline started to fade, replaced by a bone-deep shaking exhaustion that was more profound than any fatigue I'd ever known. My hands were trembling so violently I could barely keep the wheel straight. Tears were streaming down my face, not from sadness, but from sheer unadulterated terror and relief. When the first hint of dawn started to gray the east-rated terror and relief. When the first hint of dawn started to gray the eastern sky and my phone finally beeped, indicating a single bar of service, I pulled over at the first wide spot I could dry heaves. I sat there on the cold ground shaking for a long time, watching the sun come up, trying to convince myself that it had been a dream, a hallucination brought on by exhaustion. But I knew it wasn't. The detail of that tube, the voice, the question.
You don't hallucinate something that specific, that coherent, that utterly alien. I never reported it. Who would I report it to? What would I say? Officer, I saw a little kid who was actually an ancient cosmic horror tethered to the woods by a nightmare umbilical cord, and he got mad because I didn't want to be its dinner. They'd have locked me up, breathalyzed me, drug tested me, sent me for a psych eval. I finished that run on auto me, drug tested me, sent me for a psych eval. I finished that run on autopilot, dropped the load, drove me different routes, more pay. I just couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that kid, that tube, those woods. Every dark road felt like a trap. I found a local job, something that keeps me home at night. I don't drive in remote areas anymore if I can help it. I don't drive in remote areas anymore if I can help it, especially not at night.
I still have nightmares. Sometimes when I'm very tired, driving home late from somewhere, I'll see a flicker at the edge of my vision on the side of the road and my heart will try to beat its way out of my chest. I don't know what that thing was. An alien? A demon? Something else? Something that doesn't fit into our neat little categories? Something else? Something that doesn't fit into our neat little categories? All I know is that its old tricks aren't as effective as they used to be. Why the fuck are humans smarter now? That question haunts me. It implies they weren't always. It implies that once upon a time we were easier. That maybe, just maybe, people like me, tired and alone on dark roads, used to just step out of the cab when asked, and were never seen again.
So, if you're ever driving one of those long, lonely stretches of road deep in the night, and you see something you can't explain, and maybe just keep driving. Maybe being smarter now means knowing when not to stop. Knowing when to ignore that little voice telling you to help, because what's asking for help might not be what it seems. Stay safe out there. And for God's sake, stay on the well-lit roads.